Welcome to your Mobile Elevating Work Platform Operator Training Program. This program is intended to help you develop safe operating practices when using scissor lifts, self-propelled booms, portable work platforms, trailer-mounted booms, and self-propelled vertical lifts. This presentation should be used with a participant's guide, which you should have received from a course trainer. This operator training is designed to be general in nature, since it covers safe operating principles and practices for most types of mobile elevating work platforms. Once you have completed this program, you don't have to retake this course again to operate a different type of Mewp. You will need to receive practical hands-on training by a qualified person on each classification of Mewp you wish to operate, and familiarization on the specific model prior to use. Complete information on the specific model that you plan to operate can be found in the operator's manual that is always stored on the machine. Always read and follow the appropriate operator's manual for the Mewp you are learning to operate. Should you have any questions or find that you don't fully understand any subject covered in this presentation, please discuss them with your trainer. We've divided this video into 5 sections. Section 1 covers the terminology and applications of the various types of Mewps. Section 2 deals with the responsibilities of all parties associated with the operation of Mewps. Section 3 deals with learning how to identify and avoid safety hazards. In Section 4, we discuss the 5 key concepts of safe machine operation. And finally, in Section 5, we'll review what you need to do for your proficiency demonstration to become a qualified mobile elevating work platform operator. Mewp is an acronym for Mobile Elevating Work Platforms. Mewp classifications are made up of a combination of 2 key distinguishing descriptions: a Mewp group, which is determined by where the platform location is in reference to the tipping line, and a Mewp type, which is in reference to traveling. There are 2 groups of Mewps, Group A and Group B. A Group A machine has a design that does not allow the main platform to extend beyond the tipping line. In other words, the platform does not go outside of the drive chassis envelope. A perfect example of a Group A machine would be a scissor lift. Conversely, a Group B machine has a design that allows the platform to extend beyond the tipping line. A great example of a Group B machine would be an articulating or telescopic boom. In addition to the 2 groups, there are 3 types of Mewps, types 1, 2, and 3. With a Type 1 Mewp, traveling is allowed only with the machine in its stowed position. In a Type 2 Mewp, traveling with the work platform in the elevated position is controlled from a point on the chassis. And finally, with a Type 3 Mewp, traveling with the work platform in the elevated travel position is controlled from a point on the work platform. There are 6 classifications of Mewps, and training is required for each classification. However, since Type 2 Mewps are relatively uncommon, this training program will focus only on Type 1 and Type 3 machines. Beginning with Type 1 Mewps, where traveling is allowed only with the Mewp in the stowed position, a great example of a Type 1 Group A machine would be manually propelled vertical lifts. The platform never extends beyond the tipping line, and the machine is designed to only be moved with the platform in the stowed position. Type 1 Group A Mewps are the least expensive and most basic personnel lifts. They are economical and easy to transport, and are often a good alternative to platform-controlled vertical lifts. They are compact. Most models can roll through single or double doorways. They can also go on some elevators, depending on elevator load capacity. They're relatively lightweight, so they are ideal for use on floors that only support limited loads. Trailer-mounted booms are perfect examples of a Type 1 Group B machine. The platform is designed to extend beyond the tipping line, and the machine is designed to only be moved with the platform in the stowed position. Stationary boom mobile elevating work platforms combine the up and over access of an articulating boom with the convenience of a built-in trailer. They provide an excellent working envelope with the ability to reach up and over obstacles, allowing workers to perform tasks faster and more efficiently than smaller, manually propelled products at a significantly lower cost than that of a self-propelled boom. Now, let's move on to Type 3 Mewps, where traveling with the platform in the elevated position is controlled from a point on the platform. A great example of a Type 3 Group A machine would be electric or rough terrain scissor lifts. The main platform never extends beyond the tipping line, and machine travel is controlled from the platform controls. Platform-controlled vertical mobile elevating work platforms offer outstanding maneuverability and productivity-enhancing features. They are self-propelled, and most models have the ability to drive while fully elevated. Common platform-controlled Mewps include scissor lifts and single personnel lifts. They offer either 0-degree or high-angle turning radius for outstanding maneuverability in tight or congested job sites, and some are lightweight enough to fit in an elevator depending on the elevator load capacity. They're also relatively lightweight, so they are ideal for use on floors that only support limited loads. Articulating and telescopic booms are perfect examples of a Type 3 Group B Mewp. The platform is designed to extend beyond the tipping line, and machine travel is controlled from the platform controls. Articulating Z-booms are Mewps with multiple boom sections that hinge or articulate, allowing the operator to gain access to work areas over obstacles and barriers. Also referred to as knuckle booms or up and over booms, these versatile products are perfect for tight access and hard-to-reach areas or when reaching over obstacles. Telescopic S-booms are Mewps with boom sections that extend telescopically. They are also commonly known as stick booms because of their straight appearance. Telescopic booms offer greater horizontal outreach than any other type of Mewp. Standards organizations worldwide are calling for clear training on who is responsible for what when operating mobile elevating work platforms, commonly referred to as Mewps. In the United States, the standards are established by the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. The recognized standard for mobile elevating work platforms is ANSI A92. ANSI A92 standards are enforced by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. Per ANSI A92, the user must designate a qualified person to monitor, supervise, and evaluate operators on a regular basis to ensure their proficiency. Examples of situations when retraining may be necessary include, but are not limited to, expiration of the operator's valid training period as determined by their employer, deterioration of the operator's performance, the operator's extended period of time with no operation of a Mewp, the operator's introduction to new or significantly different Mewp technology, or the operator has been involved in an accident or near-miss incident with the Mewp. Much like ANSI in the United States, the Canadian Standards Association, or CSA, has published Canada's governing standard, CSA B354, for mobile elevating work platforms. CSA B354 standards are enforced by OHS, which is similar to OSHA in the US, and other provincial authorities. Each province has their own OHS, so it's important to be familiar with those rules and regulations that apply to the safe operation and maintenance of the Mewp in your area. Per CSA B354, the operator must be trained or retrained as necessary to keep the level of proficiency at an acceptable level. Examples of situations when retraining may be necessary include, but are not limited to, expiration of the valid training period, which shall not exceed 5 years, deterioration of proficiency, following an accident or near-miss incident while operating or using a Mewp, a condition in the workplace changes in a manner that could affect the safe operation of the Mewp, or new Mewp technologies and working methods. In Europe, CE approval is required for Mewps and training varies by country. It is generally offered in compliance with national regulatory requirements. The ANSI A92.22 standards in the United States and the CSA B354.7 standards in Canada detail the responsibilities of manufacturers, dealers, owners, users, supervisors, operators, occupants, lessors, lessees, and brokers. To begin, manufacturers are responsible for designing equipment that meets these recognized standards. The manufacturer also has responsibility to provide operational and maintenance instructions and to identify potential hazards associated with operating or repairing the machine. The dealer, who may rent or sell Mewps, should make sure that the machines they provide are properly maintained and ready for use. The dealer is also responsible for offering appropriate training and familiarization regarding proper machine operation and safety. The owner of a Mewp could be the dealer in a rental situation, or may have the responsibility of a user if they are directing operators to operate a mobile elevating work platform. It is the owner's responsibility to make sure that the manufacturer's operators and any other safety manuals are in good condition and stored on the machine. And just like a dealer, the owner must properly maintain the machine to the manufacturer's specifications. The owner should always ensure that any personnel that they direct or authorize to use a Mewp have received appropriate training and familiarization. The user, by definition, is the person or persons who are in the position of directing operators to use Mewps in their work. Most commonly, this is the employer. Like an owner, the user must provide appropriate training and familiarization and make sure that the operators and safety manuals supplied by the manufacturer are in good condition and stored on the machine. The user must develop a safe use program specific to Mewps, which must include a site risk assessment and proper selection of a suitable Mewp, as well as a written rescue plan that ensures that all applicable employees receive training that explains the procedures to follow if they fall in a weight rescue, witness another worker's fall, witness an elevated machine breakdown which strands the occupants, or witness platform entanglement with occupants in the platform. The user is responsible for only allowing trained, qualified, and authorized personnel to operate a Mewp. The user is responsible for designating a qualified person to monitor, supervise, and evaluate operators on a regular basis to ensure that they have the skills necessary to do the job safely. The operator is the person who actually performs work using a Mewp. It is the operator's responsibility to check that the operators and safety manuals are stored on the machine and are always read and understood before operation. The operator is responsible for operating the Mewp within the limits of intended use as defined by the manufacturer in the operator's manual and job site and government regulations. This includes avoiding hazardous situations, performing a visual pre-operation inspection, performing comprehensive function tests prior to use, performing a workplace inspection, and only using the machine as the manufacturer intended. The operator is responsible for reporting any problems or malfunctions that occur before or during operation. And finally, the operator must ensure that all occupants in the platform have a basic level of knowledge to work safely on the Mewp. In addition to these important standards, operators are subject to specific local, regional, and national workplace rules and regulations, so please check with the appropriate safety organizations for specific information that would apply to you. The operator's manual and any other manuals provided by the manufacturer are considered a permanent part of your machine and should remain with the machine at all times. Consult these manuals when you require specific information for your model of mobile elevating work platform. Now that you know your responsibilities, you need to learn about the hazards you may encounter while operating any type of Mewp. The focus of this section is to help you learn how to identify hazards so you can protect yourself and others from injury in the workplace. We'll cover 4 categories of hazards that you need to understand and avoid. They are tip over, fall, collision, and electrocution hazards. Common sense and planning are required to determine if your work activity will affect the lift capacity and stability of the machine. Here are some situations to think about and avoid. The machine must not be moved with the platform raised unless it is designed for this purpose. Pushing or pulling on objects outside the platform. Placing ladders or scaffold against the machine. Operating the equipment on unlevel or unstable ground conditions. bad weather or windy conditions, unsafe numbers of people or too much weight in the platform. To avoid falling, don't sit, stand, or climb on the platform guardrails. Be sure to always lower the platform entry midrail or close the gate before operating. To avoid collisions, you should be aware of how and where the machine is moving. You must first perform a workplace inspection and identify and avoid ground and overhead obstructions. These machines are not electrically insulated. That means there is no protection for the operator, bystanders, or machine from electrical shock as a result of contact or unsafe proximity to power lines or any other electrical charge. Safety information about required clearance from power lines and other electrically charged devices can be found in the operator's manual and on safety signs on the machine. The operation of any mobile elevating work platform is subject to certain hazards that can be protected against only by the exercise of intelligence, care, and common sense, and not by mechanical means. It is essential that operation, maintenance, and service of Mewps is performed only by competent, careful people trained in the intended use, safe operation, maintenance, and service of this type of equipment. Also, be reminded you will find additional hazards listed in the operator's manual. Always read and understand these before operating the machine. There are also more resources on the machine in the form of safety and instructional decals. The safety decals have the safety markings of danger, warning, and caution. The green or blue instructional decals indicate operation or maintenance information. Remember, if you don't follow all safety instructions and exercise safe operating procedures, serious injury or even death could occur. So please, always follow the instructions that the manufacturer has set out for both safety rules and operating instructions. There are 5 key concepts of safe machine operation, all of which you will find outlined in your operator's manual. They are: avoid hazardous situations, always perform a pre-operation inspection, always perform function tests prior to use, inspect the workplace, and only use the machine as it was intended. These principles, if followed in sequence, will help you to operate the Mewp safely and efficiently. The first key concept for safe machine operation is knowing how to avoid hazardous situations. Proper training and common sense will help you to avoid hazardous situations associated with operating a Mewp. You must be able to recognize and avoid potential tip-over, fall, collision, and electrocution hazards, as well as any other hazards that may exist. It is critically important before you even get near the work environment or the machine to know what kind of hazards to be looking for. A second key concept for safe machine operation is the pre-operation inspection. This is important because very often you may not know if the machine has been damaged or modified or if it's been properly maintained. This visual inspection is designed to keep the operator out of harm's way by discovering if anything is apparently wrong with the machine before the operator performs the function tests. You're looking for things like modifications, damage, loose or missing parts, and hydraulic or other fluid leaks. Your operator's manual has a complete checklist of items you need to inspect. Let's look at a few examples that apply to Mewps. Platform condition, lift links, pins, and banjo bolts, swing bearing and rotator bolts, hydraulic components, lift mechanism, electrical components, decals, and tires. If the machine checks out, you are ready to perform the function tests, our third key concept for safe machine operation. We do function tests to make sure that you can get up and down safely before you go into the work environment. We want to discover any damage, problems, or malfunctions before the machine is put into service. Of course, you have to get up in the air to do your work. But more importantly, if you have a health or safety issue and you need to get down or others need to bring you down, it is vital to verify the machine is operating properly. Before you begin testing functions, select an area that is firm, level, and free of ground and overhead obstructions. Follow the function test sequence outlined in the operator's manual. If a machine fails a test, it must be removed from service, repaired, and re-inspected before it can be placed back into service. Let's take a look at a few examples of function tests that apply to Mewps. Outrigger deployment. Outrigger interlocks. Emergency stop. Tilt alarm. Lift function. Drive function. And pothole mechanism deployment. The complete list of function tests is located in your operator's manual. Our fourth key concept for safe machine operation is the workplace inspection. Earlier, we learned how to identify some of the hazards that could be encountered on a job site, such as tip over, fall, electrocution, and collision hazards. Now, as you move on to the work site, you can see what circumstances will contribute to hazardous situations. If these hazardous situations present themselves, remember it's your responsibility as an operator to identify and avoid all hazards and report them to your employer so they can be properly addressed. Keep your eyes open for drop-offs and holes, floor obstructions and hazardous locations, overhead obstructions, electrical conductors, and wind and unsafe weather conditions. Other workplace hazards are listed in the operator's manual. There may be others, so always make sure that you have identified all potential hazards and know how to avoid them before moving the Mewp into the workplace. It is also important to note that you, as an operator, have an obligation to inform the user or owner if a work environment contains even one thing that will prevent you from safely doing your job. The fifth key concept for safe machine operation is to only use the machine as it was intended. The operating instructions section in the operator's manual provides instructions for each aspect of Mewp operation. It is the operator's responsibility to follow all the safety rules and instructions in the operator's and safety manuals. Mewps are designed to lift people and their tools to overhead work locations. The operator's manual will indicate if the machine can be used to lift materials. Using the machine for anything other than the activity specified in the operator's manual could result in death or serious injury. Only properly trained and authorized personnel should be permitted to operate a Mewp. If more than one operator is expected to use the Mewp at different times in the same work shift, they must all be qualified operators and they're expected to follow all safety rules and instructions in the operators and safety manuals. That means every new operator should perform a pre-operation inspection, function tests, and a workplace inspection prior to each work shift. Once you have successfully completed your participant's guide and the written test, you will almost be ready to operate a mobile elevating work platform. Read the operator's manual for the specific machine you wish to operate. Then you must operate the machine for a sufficient period of time to demonstrate proficiency in the actual operation of the machine. Let's review the steps. First, read and understand your operator's manual. Be aware of hazards to look out for and avoid them. Perform a pre-operation inspection on the equipment. Perform the function tests prior to use. Inspect the workplace for unsafe conditions and familiarization. And only use the machine as the manufacturer intended. We know you can succeed, but it is up to you. Thank you for paying attention, and be safe out there.